Welcome everyone to the 2024 Roush Performance Esports Pro Series. It's been a little while since we've seen everyone, and in fact I think it was way back at the RFK Holiday Showdown, so we are thrilled to be live streaming a brand new series for you all, the Pro Series. Also, to note some great partners on board with us, RFK Racing, VRS, and Podium Esports, and with the Pro Series comes some great prizes as well, over $3,000 in total cash prize pool for this one. I'm Joey Atterbury, and joining me in the booth tonight is going to be the whole Roush Performance Esports team. Got Jack Roush Jr. and Trevor Wright in here to help me call all of the action and keep everybody entertained tonight, and I think we might even get JP Roush to join us in here as well a little bit later. And can't forget about the guy punching all the buttons behind the scenes, making our broadcast look great. That is our producer, Ryan Bauer, the bearded sim racer himself. So tonight the drivers will be tackling Watkins Glen. They're actually in qualifying right now, but before we get to any of that action on the track, let's actually give a run through of the prizes, Trevor. And this is the largest cash prize pool ever to be offered from Roush Performance Esports.
Man, I'll tell you, the cash that I'm seeing here, this is some big money stuff. And I think the intensity of knowing that $2,000 cash is at hand for the championship award, I think you're going to see that competitive racing turned up a notch. But heck, even second place, $500, third, $350, fourth, $200, and fifth still takes home $100, which heck can get you 100 cheeseburgers. So I'm in, but a lot of cool things, and I'm super pumped to be back doing this thing.
That is a lot of cheeseburgers, you might say. And in addition to that cash prize you saw down there, there are some podium prizes being given away as well. So lots of cool giveaways going on here. And Watkins Glen, the track in upstate New York. I was hoping to have Jack Roush Jr. in here, but I think he's dealing with a few little audio issues right now. But
I'm back.
This is the oh, Jack, you're back. Awesome to have you here. Did you want to give us a little bit of a rundown of this upstate New York track?
Oh yeah, Watkins Glen. I mean, you know, Joey, this is a very difficult track. There's a lot of little secrets here all the way around. You know, it's not just how you take the turns, it's also visually how it's almost like it's a magic trick looking at this track in so many different ways. You know, just turn one is extremely high speed. I don't know how you take it, but for me to really hit it right, it feels like you have to flick it in at just the right angle. It's really threading in a needle, and you want to run out as much as you can at the exit of turn one. Then going into the S's, you want to basically late apex all the way through there, just hauling the mail. You want to be full throttle as much as your car can take you, which I expect with these GTP cars is going to be absolutely full throttle. Going to the bus stop, labeled the inner loop here, that's yet another trick. You know, you want to shoot the car into the center of the turn with just the right rotation, center turn to get a great run out into the outer loop, which is a speed maintaining carousel basically. Going into the chute. The chute, I don't know what you think, Joey, but I find that to be a tough one to really maximize. You know, it wants to trick you into early apexing or late apexing, but you know, there's one specific angle that really is right, and it, you know, with it being a little while since I've driven it, it's a little hard for me to exactly describe it. But one of the problems is that you don't really have any references mid-turn. You're just out there, and you have to just kind of get a feel for what the car is doing, the elapse of time, and just pray that you get that angle right to really maximize your speed. And you'll know it when you hit the exit of turn 6. It will tell you that you've maximized it. Either you haven't fully maximized the exit, which tells you you didn't carry enough speed, or you'll be all over it, which hopefully won't be a bad day for you. Going into the toe, that turn can carry more speed than it would seem. You go downhill, and there also is a bit of banking there that really will carry the car, carry speed, and you really want to make sure that you carry all the speed that you can, because you'll be sure that your opponents, if they're good, will do so. Going into turn 8, I found that one to be one where I could go deeper than really it looks like, and same with turn 9. Turn 9 is a really strange turn. You're cresting a hill, you can't see the exit of it, but it's really kind of a muscle memory thing. Turn 10 is another corner that is higher speed than you would expect, but all of these are very different angles, and it just takes a lot of time to really master. I've been to Watkins Glen many times, and every time I'm there, I always make sure to walk the track. I always make sure to spend a lot of time in the simulator, because this is a tough one.
100% it's a tough one, and you ain't gonna learn it just by coming here and doing practice laps once. But actually, these are the cars that are going to be racing around this Watkins Glen track here tonight. The iRacing GTP class, very fitting for a Pro Series. Brand new prototypes, cars capable of 200 plus mile-an-hour top speeds, incredible grip with aero packages and hybrid power systems. It really kind of is the leading edge of what sports car racing is currently. And we actually have our schedule as well. Trevor, we are here at Watkins Glen, but we've got 3 races after this one too.
Yeah, so as you said, Watkins Glen tonight, which Jack, that walkthrough was pretty amazing. I felt like I was actually like in the car feeling everything out. But next February the 28th, we're heading over to Sebring, so just south of us. Jack, we've had some fun around that track. You took me for a ride in a Roush Stage 3 Mustang, and that was exciting. We'll talk about that later. But VIR, March 13th, just a little bit north of us here. And then we're heading down to Road Atlanta, over in hot Atlanta, which is such an awesome course to see. And that's exciting to be able to take the championship into Road Atlanta.
It is always a great place, and it holds some of the most iconic sports car races in the world. Road Atlanta down there with Petit Le Mans. None of this would be actually possible without our partners here. RFK Racing, they really need no introduction at all. One of the most successful NASCAR teams in history. And make sure to go follow team owner and driver of the number 6 car, Brad Keselowski, as well as Chris Buescher, driver of the number 17, as they race their way through the 2024 NASCAR season. Also, VRS. VRS is a premium sim racing hardware manufacturer supporting many of the top teams and leagues worldwide. Experience the VRS difference with our hardware, software, telemetry, setups, and training. And Podium Esports. Podium is a talent farm for highly motivated individuals looking for a career in motorsports broadcasting. Podium's mission is and always has been to attract, train, and employ talent in motorsports broadcasting, production, graphic design, journalism, and social media marketing. Podium Esports brings the excitement of competitive gaming to motorsports enthusiasts around the world. Well, with that being said, we have actually run completely through qualifying, so that means our race grid is set for the first of our 15-minute races here. We will have a 35-minute feature after this one, but it is the number 112 car. That is Jordan Johnson, your pulser with a 127.0. Holy smokes, that is moving around Watkins Glen. Brandon Hawkin in the number 99 going to be joining next to him there on row number 1. Alex Ellis, 3rd place. Paul Gibson going to be starting on the outside of row number 2. Blake Reynolds in the 066 will be starting 5th. Flynn Lazier, that is the son of Buddy Lazier back there, in 6th. Cam Peterson starting 7th. Jack Buser in 8th. Hamilton Akabueze in 9th. Cam Bidwell in 10th there, Jack.
In 11th, we have Boris Ovando. In 12th, Ray Kingsbury. In 13th, Pat Pelchat with a 127.9. 14th with Chris Rosales with a 128.2. 15th, Cody Crossgrove with a 128.24. And 16th, Lance Loomis with a 128.2. 17th, John Jorabanks.
Marchbanks.
Marchbanks. In 18th, Nate Doherty. 19th, Chris Youngwall. And 20th, we have Thomas Fisher.
And picking up 21st, Milan Harris. This is going to be row 11, Chris Walsh in 22nd. 23rd is going to be Jeff Evans. 24th, Colin Arnold. 25th, James Thurston. 26th, Matt Kingsbury. 27th, Eddie Layton. 28th, Charles Hosea. 29th, Corey V. We're going to keep that one simple there, Corey. 30th, Robbie Swan. And row 16. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Joe.
No, that's totally all good. And then back here on 31st, we got Devin Smrecker in the number 26, Will Chen in the number 17. Actually, both of those guys, friends of RFK Race. And then we have Rolly Filgaris back here starting 33rd, as well as Steven Sharik. He is another buddy of RFK Racing. Always so great to have them joining us out here. Trent McMillian starting 35th, Max Muir 36th, and Peachy Campos in 37th. Something to notice about that Max Muir number 11 car, he has been one of the fastest in practice, so he's going to be charging up through the field. And what you see on the screen tonight is tonight's race format. So we've already done the 10 minutes of qualifying. That set our grid for the sprint race here. It is a 15-minute race, either that or 11 laps. They're both going to be the same amount of time. And the results from that will set the grid for the 35-minute feature. Now, however, there is one curveball to be aware of. You see that text in the green there? The top 8 will be inverted from the sprint race results. So if you win this first race, that means you have to start 8th. If you finish 8th, well, guess what? It's your lucky day, and you're going to be starting on pole position for that main feature 35-minute race where really the track position is so key. And talking about track position, Jack, let's bring you back in here. At a racetrack like Watkins Glen, it is so fast. These GTP cars doing under a minute 30 seconds per lap. That is so fast. You want to be up towards the front of the field, don't you?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, anything you can do to stay out of trouble. Man, I'm excited for this race. We got some amazing talent here. It's going to be a great show.
I think so, and we're getting some awesome shots of everybody inside of their sim rig right now. One of the cool things that we have the opportunity to do is basically put a link up, and if you got a webcam, you can log into that link and we can show your face from right here inside of the car, inside of the sim rig. Just brings another nice little touch of reality to everything. And one thing I think that Roush Performance Esports is known for is some pretty big entry fields. And Trevor, my last talking point before the green flag here is we've got 37 GTP cars. And as of right now in 2024, I don't know of another iRacing series that has this many prototypes.
Yeah, that's what I was hearing. I mean, I think rolling out the largest field so far of 2024, this is pretty huge, and who knows if it's going to get beat. But what actually kind of blew my mind, Joey, was kind of the pre-race chatter and talking about how there is 5 or 6 names that it's like, if you heard that this guy was racing, it's like, oh, he won. Oh, he won. Now we have 5 or 6 guys all feeling that same way to be like, no, any of these guys can win it. And obviously anything can happen in racing, so anyone can win it.
Absolutely. And you're right. I feel like there's probably a dozen names in this field that really can claim the checkered flag. But here we go. The pace car is pulling off of the racetrack. The field has to stay nice and 2x2. There is the green flag from Barney and Jordan Johnson with a nice hole shot, but we've already got carnage a little bit further back on the front straightaway here. Looks like the top half of the field working their way through turn number 1, nice and clean, albeit just a little bit of mess on the front straightaway here, Jack.
Yeah, I got to give some kudos to Barney there. He knows how to start a race. I don't think there's a flagman in racing that works as hard as that guy. It was a great start. Man, this is intense. And the physics on these cars, just so you guys know, is unbelievably realistic. That's one of the things that this simulator iRacing is known for. And man, looking at this, the way these cars are taking this track, it's almost mind-blowing.
These GTP cars have some crazy speed. Oh, looks like we got more problems going down the laces of the boot the first time. Jack, you were mentioning that is such a tricky area, really going downhill the entire time. You got to balance the trail braking and all of that car balance through this entire circuit, but already catching a few of these drivers out. I believe it was John Marchbanks, Christian Youngwall, maybe Boris Ovando that was involved in that very, very early start-finish line kind of skirmish. But here we go, riding on board the third place car. This is Alex Ellis driving the number 5. He's all over the back of Brandon Hawken, but something I'm noticing early here, Trevor, and it's not easy to do, but the number 112 car has already escaped 1.3 seconds out in front.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive, and that's exactly what I was looking at, is this gap. I'm trying to go all the way down, and I think that's one of the largest gaps on the field. Crazy to think, from first to second place is super impressive. But one note I will say, Jack, talking about Barney and flag, I actually saw him pre-race on the pit lane, and he was just waving the flag the whole time. He did not stop, so he was absolutely ready for that green flag drop.
Oh yeah, he's an animal.
Sometimes he's on it, sometimes he's a little late. Trevor, it honestly depends on what track he's going to, but
yeah,
we can actually talk to Corey Vervinkt later about Barney and all of his antics, because trust me, Corey's got a personal relationship with Barney. He's got to deal with him every single day being working over there at iRacing, so he's got tons of stories for him. But something I was noticing here inside the top 5 as the battle goes on for what is second, but Flynn Lazier is actually putting some good pressure on Paul Gibson for what is 4th place, and Paul Gibson's not letting go of Alex Ellis either. So I think everybody inside the top 5 really just kind of putting on this sprint race. It's only 15 minutes, and it's such a different kind of mindset than the later 35-minute race. This is really all about kind of taking advantage, all take, no give whatsoever, and we're already starting to see the top 5 starting to stretch it out about 1.5 seconds over Blake Reynolds. I just think it's going to kind of be a theme of tonight, the raw pace of what's inside the top 5 drivers. Jack, you know what that's like here at Watkins Glen. You've had plenty of success at this racetrack too.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, it's interesting watching this race now after obviously just watching the NASCAR race at Daytona. Where Daytona, you have the drafts, and there is some drafting here, especially through the S's in that back straight. But really, it comes down to how well you're driving. These guys are not modulating the gas. They're going as hard as they possibly can. And you can't really, you don't really see the groups of cars developing in this form of racing. For me, I love this type of racing for, it's a little bit frustrating, again, for me, watching the draft type of racing at the super speedways, because you can't go out there and really let loose. These guys are giving it all they got. I'm sure the 112 out front, man, he's got to feel like a jackrabbit just running away from a wolf right now. I know that feeling, and just like you do, Joey, they're just going hard, all out.
And it's not even just one wolf. I think it's a pack of wolves or coyotes kind of nipping at the heels, just trying to grab whatever they can. And I believe that this is Pat Pelchat, the number 919, trying to get past the number 25 of Ray Kingsbury, who we're riding on board with here up through the S's. This is such a cool part of the track. So fast, I'm seeing already 180 miles an hour as they exit the top of turn number 3 here. We're going to see if Pat is going to the inside, see if he can outbrake. It's just such a short braking zone right there. Ray Kingsbury able to navigate around, and oh no, looks like Jack Buser had a problem through the bus stop, and we haven't seen too much of the crashing so far. We've really been clean inside of the top 5, but that bus stop, the inner loop, whatever you want to call it, you really have to go bounding over those curbs. You jump the car all over the place, and it's not just the first curb, it's the second curb, it's the third curb, and even it's the 4th curb coming out of that bus stop section. But the more aggressive you are with it, the more time you can actually gain through that section. And Jack, it's probably the best opportunity for a pass outside of turn 1.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, that is one of the spots where, it is a classic passing spot here. It's you can't really assume that there's only, you can only pass here or there on any given track, especially this one. You always gotta, be looking if you're behind, or also being aware if you're in front. Man, anything can happen here, but that is definitely one of the main spots.
This is Robbie Swan taking a look to the inside of Cody Crosgrove. Inside of Trabi is able to make that pass nice and cleanly. Pretty textbook, if you ask me. Just kind of set it up. Was able to outbrake going down the hill, and now he's got a little bit of a gap to go catch up to the 171 of Jeff Evans just up the road here. And checking back in with Flynn Lazier now. If the Lazier name sounds familiar, yes, Buddy Lazier, father here to Flynn Lazier. Very successful IndyCar driver, Indy 500 winner. It is always so cool to see the different types of drivers that show up here to our iRacing events. And Trevor, I know that you haven't been able to actually race with us on the track, but you get the likes of Chris Buescher and all these other pro guys to come and compete with us here in the pro series, or not necessarily in this series, but in all of our other Roush esports events. It's pretty cool, the diversity of drivers that shows up.
Oh, big time. And one thing, as you said at the beginning, I haven't had the chance to race with you guys. It is best that I'm behind the mic because that little bus stop where the bumper was going one way, car was going the other, what I call yard sale, that would be happening a lot more often if I was behind the wheel. But yeah, you're right. It's so cool, and hearing the stories of all the connections of like the Roush family, of people that have raced with Roush or have been a crew member or has helped in some way, and then all the way from NASCAR drivers to just like you said with his dad being an Indy 500. There's so many connections in racing, and it's so neat to be able to all come together under one roof right here on the esports channel.
Ooh, and check this out. Chris Rosales in the 992. You were talking, and there's some contact going around Cody Crosgrove. And that is what is called the broadcaster's curse. I am so sorry, Chris. When we start talking about names, it tends to happen that trouble strikes on the racetrack. Hopefully we'll check in with the 992 a little bit later. He is a journalist, a guest here from Motor One, so hopefully he's still enjoying himself and his online experiences. We check in a little bit further up the racetrack here, checking in on our leaders. We are completing lap number 6 on the racetrack, riding on board the number 99 of Brandon Hawken, and these laps click off pretty quickly. Brandon Hawken is no stranger to Roush Performance Esports. It's always so cool. We were talking about the diversity of drivers that we get to see, but not only the different types, but usually when a driver comes and races here at Roush Performance Esports, they tend to find a home and they come back for these events. It doesn't matter if you're Brandon Hawken going all the way back to, I believe, the Grassroots Series in those FR 500s or the GTPs. Now it is a home to come and race, and that's exactly one of the reasons, Jack, why we built this place. Oh,
absolutely. I really got to say something. Looking at that crash that just happened, it may seem like, it's crazy. That's in the simulator. The real world is not that intense. This track is no joke. This is an old F1 track. Many people have actually died here in open wheel. My first time here, especially those S's, are extremely treacherous. And feel free to back me up here, Joey. But the first time I was here, first race, I was with a pack of cars. There was a car, one car that had broken down and was still on the side of the road. One car in front of me hit that car that was still at over 100 miles an hour. And so I was heading towards both of them with both of them spinning, and there was a wheel flying up in the air. Somehow I avoided all of it, but definitely was kind of an out-of-body experience for me, trying to avoid all that. I was just thinking about that tire coming through my windshield. Man, this track is no joke.
It really isn't. And that part of the racetrack that you were talking about, Jack, the S's, let's ride on board with one of these cars. Let's bring up the speed here on the number 13, if we can, as we've got him on the screen. But it is crazy how fast they go up through the S's here. I'm seeing 170 miles an hour up through turn 3, and before we get out of turn 3 up here, 181 miles an hour. Let's see, before we hit the brakes, but going into the bus stop, 186 miles an hour is what these GTP cars are doing. So they, I would say, are officially hauling the mail in that specific point of the racetrack. Here in iRacing, you do get kind of the feeling that it gets narrow, but in real life, you also have the crest of the hill to deal with. That bright blue guardrail on your right side, trust me, it comes up really, really fast. And when it gets close, you get the pressure change inside of the car. Well, at least if you're driving a GT car or sedan type car, you get the pressure change. So there's a lot of factors going on, going up the hill, going over the crest, get the pressure change, as well as that massive funnel effect of doing top speed with everybody else. It is a lot going on. Trevor, you ever been in a race car like that, or anything kind of the situation?
I've been in a few cars riding along. Driving, I've been in the stage 3 cars, which absolutely feels like a race car. It's 750 horsepower. Definitely a lot to be put down. Rode along with Jack Jr. on a couple different occasions on some track settings, but drifted sideways with Justin Pollock at Road Atlanta. So definitely haven't been on so much the stick side, more on the drift end, but it's definitely an awesome time, and I could understand obviously the pressures of vehicles, because heck, I even feel like the simulator almost brings that too. Getting off a wall and kind of feeling that push off of it. But no, just talking about the technicality of this track, really what you can also look at is pit lane. I mean, we have tons of skilled drivers, but that pit lane was absolutely filling up with cars. And it's not because of the lack of skills set that we have in these drivers. It's simply just, it is tight. And just as Jack said, things can happen really quick and go bad really quick.
Well, I got to add too, Trevor's awfully humble. I've heard rumors that he's actually a pretty experienced dirt bike racer, which you got to have some major guts to do that too.
Pin it to win it.
Yep.
I get on dirt. It's a whole nother thing. I enjoy dirt. Road, I'll stay off of it. But no, it's pretty wild, Joey. Looking at this bus stop here, and especially comparing it to the NASCAR side, I do feel like the NASCAR, it feels like they're kind of checking up in speeds. These guys, it's like they set that nose, they whip around it. It almost looks like, I can imagine the G-forces that these guys are feeling going through that bus stop.
That's actually a really good point, Trevor, and it's just the different types of cars. Now, here in Roush, a lot of the fan base is from the NASCAR world, so we're very, very comfortable with the stock cars going around here, and they are doing about 180 miles an hour, too, as they get up towards the bus stop. But as Trevor just pointed out, these cars on the screen, the prototypes, they weigh about half as much as a stock car. They have about as much horsepower. They have a ton more aerodynamic grip and way bigger tires to glue them down to the road. So the speeds that they carry through these corners is just incredible what they are doing. We were covering, or we didn't get to cover qualify, but 1:28 is what the lap times of the leaders are doing around this place, which is just incredible for a 3.5-mile circuit here. And this is actually our leader, Jordan Johnson, right now. So his best lap is going to be on the screen. A 1:27.657 is as fast as he's gone here tonight. But with 20 seconds remaining, he will be coming around, collecting the white flag here from Barney, going on to the last and final lap here of the sprint race. So all Jordan Johnson has to do in the number 112 is one more lap around this place, the exact same thing that he's been doing all race long, and he'll collect our first checkered flag of the night, Jack.
Yeah, man, this was a very impressive race. Could have been a lot worse with crashes, but it's going to get better once we invert those cars. Man, I love that format. It just really spices things up, and it makes the fast guys really have to work for it, and it also gives other people a chance to fight.
100%. It also just kind of, you have to slow things down, especially when you're in the case of Jordan Johnson, like right here, right? He is clearly the fastest driver here tonight. He was on pole position. He got the whole shot, right? He ran away from the field, and he's up to 2.4 seconds in front of Brandon Hawken right now. So I have a feeling it's all going to be stopping the number 112, but when you're in the middle of the pack, which Jordan is going to have to do at the beginning of next race, you have to display patience. You can't just go charging your way through because you're the fastest car on the racetrack. You might end up in a wall out there if you end up doing that. So Jordan Johnson, everything right so far in the sprint race. 2 turns remaining here through turn number 11 now. And this black and green number 112 claims the first checkered flag from Barney, and we see Brandon Hawken giving chase in the number 99. Alex Ellis in the number 5 rounds out your first podium of the night as we get all of the rest of the cars coming across the start-finish line here.
Barney with the fist pump. First off, iRacing, I think you should actually create a Barney outfit for Halloween. I think that would be it. Jack, you want to be Barney with me?
I think Barney could actually make some money with the new workout program with the weighted flag. That looks like hard work.
Pump it.
You know, I'm pretty sure that over in the Roush household, we could have a whole bunch of Barneys running around collecting candy out there.
Yeah, pretty much a whole basketball team over here.
I think I can match you there, Jack.
Yeah, you can.
We can go full. We can do a full game. Let's just make that happen.
Yeah.
Wrights versus Roush. There you go.
Oh,
We will not take you to the racetrack, though. I'll tell you that.
Well, you know, while you guys are having fun with that, I'll just keep my lint roller over here with my golden retrievers. But anyways, back on track for everybody. We do have the official results from the sprint race. It was Jordan Johnson that claimed that victory. Just really, really impressive driving. And if you're wondering, yes, that is a whole lot of Acuras that we are seeing here. Brandon Hawken in the number 99 finishes in second. Alex Ellis will round out your podium for the sprint race. Paul Gibson finishes fourth. Flynn Lazier finishes fifth. Blake Reynolds in sixth. Pat Pelchat in seventh. Ray Kingsbury in eighth. And that top 8 will be inverted for your main feature race. Nate Doherty in ninth and Robbie Swan back here in 10th. Jack, I believe you've got 11th through 20th.
In 11th, we have Charles Hosea. 12th, Cody Crossgrove. 13th, Corey Vervinkt. And I only know that because I've gotten schooled on that before, Trevor, so don't feel bad. And 14th, we have Milan Harris. 15th, Stephen Cherry. 16th, Will Chen. 17th, James Thurston. I'm assuming the third. 18th, Trenton McMillian. Man, that's a familiar name, as is 19th with Peachy Campos, and 20th, Cameron Peterson. Whole bunch of familiar faces there, Trevor.
And taking up 21st here, Lance Loomis. 22nd, Colin Arnold. 23rd, Thomas Fisher. 24th, Jeff Evans. 25th, Chris Walsh. 26th, Hamilton A. 27th, John M. We're just going to keep going with the initials here. 28th, Christian Youngwall. 29th, Devin Smarker. Let's S. Devin S. Sorry, Devin. And 30th, Chris Rosales.
Then 31st back here, Cam Bidwell, also known as El Tigre. Eddie Layton in 32nd. Jack Buser, 33rd. Matt Kingsbury, 34th. Max Muir, 35th. Rolly Filgaris, 36th. And Boris Ovando here in 37th. And actually, we're going to bring in... I'm sorry, Jack, go ahead.
No, just so people don't know, this readout was actually partially an aptitude test for the commentators tonight.
They didn't know it. It was secret.
Oh my goodness. Well, what's going on the racetrack right now, folks, is just a really quick 5-minute warm-up, a little bit of a break in the action, if you will, but we do have a 35-minute feature coming right up. So what we actually are going to do is bring in somebody who hasn't spoken yet on the broadcast. McQuattro, Trevor McClure. Are you here and unmuting your mic? I always love bringing in T-Bones to this broadcast because if you don't know who Trevor McClure is, he is a real-world spotter, real-world strategist, has one Daytona 24-hour, one Sebring 12-hour. You know, this list goes on and on for Trevor. It's awesome to have him here. So much experience from that IMSA paddock. How's it going, dude?
It's going, man. It's going. Just enjoying the break between Daytona and Sebring, as little as that might be.
Now, I do have you here kind of watching over race control with us for this Roush Pro Series, and maybe you can talk about kind of those track limits at Watkins Glen, because here in iRacing, it really has to be patrolled. In real world, there's a whole team of race control that can watch those track limits, but here in iRacing, it's going to kind of be you looking over the whole field tonight. And what is the benefit of running way outside of those curbs?
Yeah, I mean, it's a funny thing, track limits, because it's got as many definitions as there are manufacturers in motorsport in general. So depending on who you ask and who you deal with, iRacing's definition is much different than IMSA's, and IMSA to SRO is much different. So, I mean, for us in IMSA, you know, curb is considered the racing surface, so running way over the curbs at turn 1 like the NASCARs do, of course their track limits are non-existent. There can be a big advantage to be had. However, we have to keep 2 wheels even just 1 millimeter on that painted surface. But the unique thing about Watkins Glen is the curbing, especially there at turn 1. It is tapered. As such, it's okay for a stock car or even a GT car or a touring car to run over it, because the ride height's way off of the ground in comparison to these GTP cars or any other flat floor prototype like a P2 or a P3. However, if these guys in the real world try to use all of that curb like a NASCAR, like we've just seen Jordan Johnson do here in his practice lap, they would actually high center the car on that curbing and actually lose steering ability for a short period of time, and it would be kind of like driving in the snow and having too much wheel in it, and then getting grip and spinning off the track. So yes, there's a speed advantage to using those curbs and the area beyond if you can. These cars in the real world can't.
Well, that's exactly why we have so many people here helping run these Roush Performance esports events. It's not just our beautiful faces, you know, Trevor and Jack in here. We also have great people like Ryan. Trevor from the real world really value all sorts of input that we get here to try to make all of these iRacing events kind of as beautiful as the sun is here at Watkins Glen right now. And we actually have our grid for the main feature race. The only difference is going to be the top 8 here, so we're going to read through the top 8 and then just kind of scan through the rest of the names on the screen. Ray Kingsbury in the number 25 will be your pole sitter. Pat Pelchat joining next to him on the front row. Blake Reynolds is going to be starting 3rd. Flynn Lazier on row number 2 on the outside. Paul Gibson will be 5th. Alex Ellis will be starting in 6th. Brandon Hawken in 7th, and Jordan Johnson, remember, he won the race, so he gets the worst of that top 8 grid invert. He starts back there in the 8th place, and then the rest of the names that you see on the screen here, they did not change from the finishing results from the sprint race, so everybody lines up exactly how they finished. And something to think about here, we've only done the 15-minute race. Kind of the big points are going to be paid out for this one. Trevor, you were talking about those prizes pre-race. Let's remind everybody kind of what they're fighting for out here.
Yeah, I mean, just jumping down to this race for the feature win, you're going to get that VRS 1-year competitive subscription. Second, you're going to get 3 months of that subscription. And third, you're going to get that 1 month. But guess what? If you wrap up the championship in first place, you're taking home the bag. $2,000 cash plus that $250 VRS gift certificate. Second's taking home $500, third at $350, fourth at $200, and fifth is still taking home, is it a Benjamin? Or like I said, 100 cheeseburgers. So there's still tons of things out here to take home, which is pretty exciting. And like I said, I think it's going to take this racing level that these guys are already competing at such a high level, and it's going to push it even higher, because $2,000 cash, that's huge.
It is huge. And Jack, let's bring you back in for this, because you are really the mastermind behind Roush Performance Esports. And when you were thinking of the Pro Series, since we've got a full pace lap here, really, what did you have envisioned?
You know, I wouldn't say that I'm the mastermind. The people that are here, Ryan, you, Joey, Trevor, you guys have really made this what it is. I've tried to, support it and, help brainstorm on stuff, but, I can't accept, the mastermind status, although I appreciate that. And, in looking at this Pro Series, we really wanted to, like we've always done, we've always tried to entertain the audience, get people involved, and, entertain people that are, into racing and into performance. And this is just really our next evolution in doing that. And part of that was to really, put some skin in the game with some cash for people who are talented and, really put in the effort. And, I think we're seeing that tonight. There's great talent here. The field is huge. The racing is fantastic. We've had some incidents, but, that is racing. But, it's a great show. And I really hope everyone's enjoying this, because I sure am, for sure.
And to kind of echo what Jack was saying, thank you to all of the competitors out there, because you guys are the ones that put on all the action. And then also thank you to our partners one more time before we get this green flag action. RFK Racing, they need no introduction. VRS. And also Podium Esports.
Hey, Joe, I'm going through here, and if we could share. I love this column here, looking at the drivers of like home track location. Thank you for the name pronunciation. I didn't see that till now. Anyways, but I see anything else you'd like us to know. And here with Jack Booser here. Let's see.
Hang on one sec here, because we've got a green flag on the racetrack right now. So it is all up to Ray Kingsbury. We are 3 wide going into turn number 1. It might get a little bit busy with this grid invert. And now we've got Blake Reynolds sneaking up the inside. Still 3 wide going into the S's for the first time. I see Paul Gibson sneaking around back there as well, but it is all Blake Reynolds in the 066. Flynn Lazier in second place. Ray Kingsbury, Paul Gibson, Pat Pelchat. And it is going to be even busier into the bus stop for the first time. Look at this. 2, even 3 wide further in the back, but it looks like everyone has made it through. A little bit of some action a little bit further back there. I believe that might have been the 31 of Paul Gibson turned around. Trevor?
Well, I wouldn't say that anything else you'd like to know was as exciting as that start, but I would say that Jack Boozer, he beat Chad Ochocinco in FIFA twice. And after, I guess, the second game, he deleted the Twitter post congratulating him for the first win. So Chad Ochocinco, I guess, was a sore loser, but I thought that was pretty awesome. Way to go, Jack.
That is fantastic. Ochocinco, awesome. And he is a character himself. As we check back in on the iRacing action now, we are riding on board with Flynn Lazier, the driver of the number 3 car, giving chase to Blake Reynolds. And I can tell everybody watching that these two actually do quite a bit of prototype racing together in various other leagues. So if I was to guess, I think these two are going to try to run away from Brandon Hawken in the number 99. Now, Brandon, he finished second in that sprint race. He's already made his way up 4 positions into that 3rd spot. So I keep my eye on this number 99. I'm also looking at Jordan Johnson, our sprint race winner. He is in 5th place, so he's up a few positions as well. I think the big mover, it is such a shame to see Ray Kingsbury as well as Paul Gibson out of it so early. Paul was inside the top 5 in the first race. I think it was Kingsbury that lost control on the first lap through the bus stop, and then Paul Gibson was collected. It's a shame, but it's also racing, and here in the sim world, it can happen very, very fast.
Man, and already looking at that 112 car of Johnson, working his way up, 3 positions already. That's pretty impressive. And just seeing he just looks quick out there. You watch him, you watch his lines, it's so precise. And heck, we keep going to the live cam in his room. He's already showing off the hardware in the background. And this guy is absolutely just locked in. It's pretty amazing, because I'll tell you, I get in front of this screen, it would be squirrel moments, and there's no way that I'd be able to hit my marks. But pretty awesome seeing him work his way back through the field.
And I think one of the cool parts of the grid invert, now we don't do the full grid invert, right? It's just the top 8, but it makes this kind of top 5, once everything gets going, it really starts to compress everything down, and those passes are incredibly difficult to make. As we actually jump back a little bit further in the field here, is going to be the battle for what is 13th place. I believe Thomas Fisher, Jeff Evans all arguing over it through turn number 1 here. Max Muir also involved in this one, but something to keep in the back of your mind for everybody. And Jack, maybe you can talk on this a little bit more. This is the main race, the feature race. It is 35 minutes long. The mindset that you bring into this one, totally different than that sprint 15-minute race.
Oh yeah, it's definitely, you know, the longer a race is, as you know, Joey, you need to survive. You know, one of the things my dad always says about racing is to finish first, you must first finish. And it's so easy to get caught up in a fight and, you know, really lose your mind and fight over a turn that didn't mean anything and give it all away. Especially in the sim world, you know, I think that is one thing that is a little easier to do virtually, because you're not just, you know, you're not thinking about the safety of your body, you know, if that's something that concerns you. If you're a sane person, a lot of race car drivers are not. But, you know, drivers do tend to be a little bit more protective in the real world, I think. But, you know, it's definitely different, you know, the different length of races and how you race.
And one of the points of this Roush Pro Series was to really be able to kind of test a driver in all of those aspects, right? You need to be fast in qualifying in order to get the good grid position, so you need your outright pace. And then the sprint race, it's kind of the same. You need to be aggressive. You need to be able to move your way up forward in terms of that track position. And then here in the 35-minute feature, you have to have a calm, level head. You have to make sure, first of all, to put enough fuel in the car to make it 35 minutes, which I am guilty of all the time. I forget to do that a ton here in iRacing. But then once you're out there on the race, you actually have to pace yourself. And remember, you have double that fuel, so the weight involved in the car is quite a bit different. And just to show you how different it actually is, Jack, we saw 127-minute lap times. This race, the fastest they're going so far, 129s. That is all down to the fuel weight, the extra weight the cars are carrying.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, it really is not surprising. And I don't know what you think, but, you know, part of that could be these guys trying to save their tires a little bit too.
I think so, maybe a little bit. Now, in iRacing, the tire wear, at least on these GTP cars, it stays pretty consistent. But with that being said, just like anything, if you abuse the tire, if you really try to take advantage of it, it will fall off on you. And that's kind of never really what you want out there. So, yes, Jack, they don't fall off per se, but you still have to take care of them. Maybe not so much as kind of the Boss 302Rs that we used to race, where you really had to think an hour and a half down the road.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, and, well, I could get into some really, you know, my brain is already starting to go into, you know, setup and how you adjust for those things as well. But, yeah, it's very interesting, you know, how the things play out with a different length of races for sure.
Well, and Trevor Wright, I believe that you are monitoring some social media channels, and I know that the number 26, unfortunately, is already out of the race, but they are good buddies with our big brother, RFK Racing.
Yeah, so yeah, Devin Smirker here, loving father of Emma and fiance to Willow. So now you guys react, and in the comments you say, "Aww." Yeah, that's what you're supposed to do. So shout out to them, and I'm sure that they're watching it and rooting Devin on, even though I guess he's out. So they're still rooting for him. I know that. But also what I think is absolutely hilarious, Joey, is people basically, I promise my pace is better than my iRating.
Well,
there's a few of those.
They may have been worried about his status in the infield care, but I heard that he's okay.
That's good to know.
And Trevor, I want to touch on that topic that you just said. The reason why people are worried about their iRating. Now, this is a quote-unquote pro series, so how we accepted drivers is based off of their iRating, basically a license system here in iRacing. The desync of those front noses is hilarious. We'll get to that another time. But so how we accept people is you have to be really, really good in this license system. For instance, Brandon Hawken, 7,000 plus iRating. Jordan Johnson, 7,000 plus iRating. We had over 75 submissions to come and race here in this Roush Pro Series, and I want to say thank you to everybody who signed up. I love seeing this traction. I love seeing everybody that wants to come and be a part of our races, and it is the worst part of my day to put people on the wait list out here. So thank you for everybody that has interest in the events, but this is the Pro Series. This is our highest strength of field we have ever had on Roush Performance Esports, and really the pace is showing right now, Trevor.
It definitely is, and man, just still watching Jordan Johnson as he works up. We just talked about he was in 5th. Last time I'd mentioned he's in 4th here. Maybe if we just keep this going and that curse doesn't hit him, maybe he's going to keep climbing his way up. But Reynolds at the top, he is holding a solid pace, and he just looks comfortable there.
Definitely looks comfortable, and we were talking about it before the show. I think there's probably a dozen of these drivers that you could pick, and any single one of them can win the race. And the beauty of this kind of top 8 grid invert is that sometimes they don't have the track position in order to get up there and race for that checkered flag. But now Blake Reynolds, Flynn Lazier, well, guess what? They do have the track position, and it's up to these faster drivers like Brandon Hawken and Jordan Johnson to get around them. And trust me, Brandon and Jordan, yes, we could argue that they are quote-unquote faster on the racetrack here today based off of their sprint race results, but you look at the fight that's been going on, they can't get around these top 2. And Jack, maybe you can kind of touch on that it takes actually a little bit of a pace difference to get around somebody. Catching and passing are 2 totally different things.
Oh, absolutely. You know, it's one of the things we really haven't commented on in this race is the psychological aspect. You know, in passing, you know, it really helps to know who you're racing against, understand their psychology, how they race. Some people, you know, you want to distract, you know, you want to get in their mirrors, you want to wear them down. Other people, you know, you'll want to just immediately take position. Other people, you know, you got to be careful of because they'll take you out. And, you know, all of those factors, you know, just like in the real life, they're very true here. You know, some people have tremendous respect. They, you know, they may pick their battles and let you by if you're clearly faster at a given point in the race. Maybe not at the end, but yeah, there's a whole lot to racecraft. You know, it's not just about driving fast. It's about, you know, human psychology as well.
You were just riding on board with Milan Harris in the number 96 car, and I know that we've got a whole host of Acuras, but these 2 cars on your screen right here, we can call them the Rumbly Boys tonight because they are the Cadillacs. They are the big old V8s right now, and I actually see, I think that might be, actually I think that's a lapped car that's right behind, maybe Max Muir catching up. That's exactly who it is, but some of the Cadillacs, and we do have kind of an Acura fest out here to kind of explain a few of the rules going on. You have to pick a single GTP car here in the Roush Pro Series. We don't allow car hopping. Now, we could go to Watkins Glen, and it could be the Acura that's fastest here. When we go to Sebring, it could be the Cadillac that's fastest there. When we go to VIR, it could be the Porsche, but we enforce rules that basically say, hey, you're not going to get any points if you are a billionaire and can afford all these different multi-million-dollar race cars out there and can car hop, as we watch Max Muir here, the Hawaiian Punch car, go down to the inside of Milan Harris. That is a pass for the 8th place position. Max takes advantage of that exit of turn 1 that Trevor McClure was talking about, McQuattro was talking about earlier. So Max well on his way. He didn't qualify today, so he had to start way at the back of the sprint race and then continues his charge forward now inside of the top 10. As we check back in, I see a little bit of a change up at the front. The one name that I no longer see, Jack, I think that Flynn Lazier actually had a problem there in 2nd place, so Now it is Brandon Hawken and Jordan Johnson giving chase to Blake Reynolds.
Yeah, that's too bad. I didn't quite catch what happened there, but obviously Lazier had a lot of pace. But yeah, it's this. There's not much time to recover. He probably had damage to his car, is my only guess.
I do see him.
I actually saw that incident, Joey.
Yes.
Lazier lost it on the exit of the bus stop, all on his own. So it was a bit of a driver error there, but he had a spectacular crash exiting the bus stop.
Oh, we're getting the images on the
Yard
screen.
sale.
You were right, McQuattro. Just going in through the bus stop with his hair on fire. The car got all sorts of upset, and that's just kind of what happens. Actually, Trevor McQuattro, let's bring you back in here because you talked about turn 1 in the curbs earlier, but I think those bus stop curbs actually far more aggressive, aren't they?
Yeah, they're just not peaked like the ones at turn 1, so they're very inviting, and obviously to be fast, as you guys know, you've got to use them, all 4 wheels on at least 1, 2, and 3 sections of the curbing through there. But yeah, they are not comfortable, as we see Blake Reynolds here washing a little wide going into the boot. He's been struggling these last couple laps, and it could open the door for Brandon Hawken and Jordan Johnson, who, interestingly enough, avoiding those couple of crashes that we had at the bus stop in turn 7 on lap 1, he's got a bit of nose damage on driver's right, so he might be in a bad position. These cars are pretty hard to follow when they're straight and get a pass done. When they're a little dinged up, your arrow's not as good as it should be, so he could have a little bit of difficulty here to get Brandon Hawken and Blake Reynolds, but he is hanging tough there in 3rd.
I love the attention to detail. And actually the car that you were just talking about, Brandon Hawken, smacked the wall coming out of the final turn there.
Curse.
So he is definitely pushing the limit out there. And I will say that's kind of a common area to go run up against the wall. So we'll be curious to see if there's any sort of steering damage. And to talk about the damage and that aero damage that McQuattro was talking about, here in iRacing, it really affects your top speed. So if you're looking to try to set up a pass, you need that top speed in order to kind of position your car, posture yourself in the right area of the track that you can make that lunge. And if you don't have that top speed, sometimes just that opportunity never actually presents itself. So a little bit of some uphill battles that some of these drivers are going to have to be dealing with. And Trevor, right, I understand that we have even more RFK buddies out there. I believe that Steven Sharik, another RFK buddy of ours.
Yeah, 10 car. He works at RFK as a body hanger, and then on pit row, he is hitting that single lug now as a tire changer. It's no zoot, 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 but it is just zoot. Great impersonation, I know, but pretty cool. Just as we talked about, all people from all walks of life here in the racing world, and we got a tire changer and body hanger, which is pretty cool. As in the past, I've been able to run around the ARCA series and do a little zooting. And heck, I was looking at him. His job was body hanger. I was media blaster. I had fun media blasting all those pit crew boxes. That was a good time. But throwing it back a little there, we're not going to talk about that.
Well, and you mentioned the Zoot Zoots. Is this maybe Mambo #1 out here? No, didn't get the Lou Bega reference. It was a terrible reference, but
no,
hey,
that might have been. You're showing your age a little bit there, Joe. But I think I was about 3 years old when Lou Bega was a hit. But hey, that was straight over my head. Man, so
easy on the older guys. Trevor.
Yeah, no, I'm not making any jokes. Hey, Jack, I'm not talking about golf here, okay?
Yeah, wow.
Kidding. Ouch. Oh, Johnson,
Yeah.
Hey, he keeps moving up here.
So I gotta come clean here, but I usually rule our events at the go-kart or racetracks, but I got schooled pretty bad in golf the other day.
Well, we took you out of your environment, Jack. Yeah, it would have been the norm to go get into some go-karts, and I would be wiping away my tears for years. But this time I did take you sim golfing, And I was able to leave with the laugh. So it was a great time though.
Absolutely. No, I needed it. Karma's tough.
Well, we'll continue the golf chat. You know, we can argue who's the best, you know, after this one. But what we're going to do right now is we're going to actually scroll through some of these wonderful paint schemes, make sure we try to get everybody on the screen here. That was Alex Ellis that we were just watching, and now this is the 6th place car. Max
Slim Jim?
going. You know, I think it's a Hot Wheels livery.
Okay, I thought of Hulk Hogan first, and then I saw
the
Slim
Hawaiian
Jim.
Punch. Yeah.
I saw everything but Hot Wheels.
Yeah, and then actually we got Robbie Swan, part of the Nitro Circus crew, back here. So
color.
Yeah, he's a buddy of Cam Peterson as well as Josh Edmondson. They're always familiar with our Roush events. Always great to have another one of the crew coming and joining us here with Robbie Swan. And then is the 8th place car, Lon Harris, one of the Rockefeller racing cars, one of the Cadillacs back here running inside the top 10.
Love it.
Also have Thomas Fisher. Now, I was talking with Thomas Fisher before the race, and I know that he was trying to get in this interview room afterwards, so he is well on his way. He's actually one of the biggest movers so far, up 14 positions so far in this feature race, but actually the car right behind him, this number 56. Now, if you don't know Cam Bidwell, we actually call him El Tigre, is what his nickname is, but he is our biggest mover, up 21 positions inside of this number 56. And Trevor, that brings us to 11th place, Christian Youngwall.
Yeah, no, on the 199 car, I'm digging this paint scheme, a little purple and chrome. Man, that's a solid looking car here. I was liking the one before it, the old ruby red. Reminded me of the Jack Roush edition, the old 775 horsepower monster. I love that. But jumping back here, who do we have? Is this Cameron Bidwell? Nate Doherty, rocking the Cadillac, holding it down for Cadillac here. Can't see. He's going. Can you tell him to slow down just a little bit so I can see?
Yeah, the cars are so fast.
Here.
Sometimes the cameras can't even keep up.
Can't even tell you what color it is, but
yeah,
John.
The cameramen don't work as hard as Barney.
No, all good.
And Trevor,
Oh, yeah.
this is John Marchbanks here, driver of the 3rd.
Yeah, John M. as I would go. Going with the purple. Is there a team out here? I'm seeing this trend of purple. I'm digging the purple.
Yeah,
it
like,
takes a real man
performance
to rock the purple. Heck yeah. Jumping over to Matt Kingsbury, huh? Oh, Porsche, let's go. Porsche for the win. I'm digging this. It's kind of like a throwback vintage feel. I'm digging that.
It is, and it's nice to have a Porsche. I think we only have 3 Porsches entered, and one of them currently is not running still, so Matt Kingsbury definitely holding it down for the German make right now. And then that brings us, Trevor, to Steven, who you were shouting out earlier.
Tire changer, body hanger, getting it done during the weekday and a little fun on the weeknights. Here you go.
And actually, I'm sorry to interrupt, but we've got a pass for the lead right now, or at least an attempt. Brandon Hawken looked down to the inside of Blake Reynolds going into the inner loop there. So now that things have settled out, we'll go back to some of these cars. This is the 73 of Eddie Layton running in 16th place. Oh, I love this. I gotta love to see that Podium logo on the car. And if you guys are curious why, Podium is the guys that are bringing you this awesome broadcast out here. Ryan Bauer, the bearded sim racer, he is responsible for all of these overlays, the graphics that you see. And unfortunately, James Thurston here in this number 4. Trevor, you were talking about pit road earlier. Apparently, there's some good chicken sandwiches down there.
There is. You know about the famous chicken sandwich. Spent a lot of time down here. But yeah, no, it looks like Thurston started on pit lane, and unfortunately, it looks like he made his way back there. But here's Rolly here, and Jack, you had actually mentioned early in the broadcast of kind of I don't think it was swinging the car in there, but it was angling the car in there, and that's what we just saw as we cut to Rolly coming through one there. But a solid green, I'm digging that. Ray Kingsbury, what do we have going on here? Looks a little exciting. Oh, there you go. There's back to What is this, Penguin?
Penguin RC Simulation. Now, I know that Ray Kingsbury, Matt Kingsbury, as well as several others, Cody Crosgrove also participates in the SimCar League, as well as some other broadcast stuff. So representing their leagues. And this is Colin Arnold. And Jack, maybe you can kind of mention the Arnold family here, because Colin's father, Zach, one of our crew guys back on that Roush road racing team, and one of my favorite team members that I've ever had the pleasure of working with.
Oh yeah, the Arnolds, great family. It's super cool to see Colin here. Very quick in the simulator. I think you mentioned it. He's not one of our VIPs. He made it here based on his record in iRacing. Really impressive, and thank you to Colin and the Arnold family for continuing to be part of this racing with us.
Then next up, we do have finally that James Thurston car, and then Cody Crosgrove back here in the number 18. Cody's logged into one of our driver cams, if you remember his face from earlier. Thank you, Cody, for logging in, showing us the awesome sim rig, your pretty face out there. We always love it when we get to apply these nice kind of realistic personal touches here to our virtual broadcast. And we actually have another handful of cars. I still see 27 cars still running out on the racetrack. This is Lance Loomis in the number 66. Another blue Acura, Trevor.
Yeah, no, I was digging, not talking about the blue, but that white and blue on the old Porsche livery there. And it's funny, I think Ryan and I both at the same time, I hear him, you guys don't, but we both yell Porsche when a Porsche comes on screen. No, I'm digging that Porsche livery and kind of throwing it back there. Love it. Chris Walsh, check this out. A little lime green up top. Always pops in the course. It was pretty cool. We've actually, Jack and myself and the team, when we talk about paint schemes for RFK, when we get a chance at sponsoring one of the cars, we're always talking about colors and what pops on the track. But that lime green, Jack, we might need to go to next time. It always pops pretty good there.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think, in my opinion, looking at all these cars, I don't see one that I don't love. Man, these cars are so sharp. It's really awesome to see these GTP cars, come up and just to watch them race here and in the real world now.
And I think even from seeing them, they even sound even better. That is one thing. I have been around these cars a few different times and listening to these things. They sound just as good as they look. There's Peachy there. Yeah. Oh, sweet. Semper Fi. Anyone out there watching, thank you for your service. We appreciate you guys. We couldn't sit here and do this without what you guys have done, so appreciate that.
I think
that is freaking sweet. Love that.
The only other car, maybe the number 100 of Charles Hazia, I think is the only other one that we didn't cover that is still running on track right now, and he's another one of these Rockefeller Racing team members, so an identical livery from what we saw a little bit earlier on one of his other team member cars. And already gave a nice shout out to Will Chen as well, driver of the number 17. Remember, he's one of our buddies over at RFK Racing as well. So let's go back. Since we've only got 8.5 minutes left in the race, we're going to follow our lead trio now. It is still Blake Reynolds, the leader. Brandon Hawken is the middle car in this group. And Jordan Johnson, your sprint race winner, is the third car, the caboose and the train. But Jack, if anything, look at how close these entire top three are running. With aerodynamic, dirty air, it's not always easy to do that.
Oh, no, absolutely. It's, I'm glad you said that really at this point in the race, because we're kind of transitioning into a more aggressive part. I think Johnson, given what we saw in the first race, he's probably just back there lurking and heading into these S's right now. This is a part of the track where he can draft. He's hanging back a little bit. If you notice, we'll see if he does it this time. He gets his nose a little clear before going into the bus stop to get some downforce, given how high of a downforce package these cars have. But yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see when and how he tries to make a pass for second and possibly first as well.
It is all going to come down to what I have a feeling here, probably the last couple laps. And, you know, I actually want to talk about a point that McQuattro was bringing up earlier in the race. Ryan, maybe if we could get kind of a front-end shot of this car right here, the number 112 of Jordan Johnson. The reason why I mentioned that, look at the right front on this thing. You see how banged up that is? So that is really going to be affecting Jordan's top-end speed, especially if he's going to be trying to make a pass. Now, Jack, you have fantastic racecraft. You know, my ego is huge. I think I pride myself in my racecraft ability, but when you have a damaged car, and here's a move down to the inside. Brandon Hawkins looking to the inside of turn number 1. Maybe a little bit of side to side, and that allows the door open for Jordan Johnson. I was going to say, Jack, it sometimes comes down to the racecraft. You don't actually have to make the pass based off the top speed. You just have to take advantage of the situation.
Absolutely. No, I think Johnson was waiting exactly for that, or any type of mistake, any little hiccup, and now he's in second, and yeah, it's going to get interesting here.
Man,
so let's
look at this move.
Yeah, let's watch the replay here. So watch the front two cars. There's going to be slight door-to-door contact. Was there enough room left? Yeah, I think that there was plenty of room left there at Apex, and tip of the hat there to Brandon Hawkins, because he got choked down the inside, but he did not take anybody with him. He locked the thing down and did not take out Blake Reynolds. So really, quite honestly, the fight goes on, and that just shows you how good these drivers are, Trevor.
Yeah, and going back to Jack, you were mentioning about that first corner there. I think you were talking about angling in. I also feel like my sense of understanding that is your car is going to be at a very vulnerable point. Obviously, probably heavy on the brakes, kind of tough into the turn, keeping that nose down. I feel like coming in underneath the car right there, you're at your most vulnerable point. Is that correct?
Oh, absolutely. And as I remember it, the banking is really, maximized closest to that apex. It's a little like pocket you want to place the car in. If you're outside of that, you'll push to the outside. And I think that's part of why we saw both cars really lose speed there. One was trying to avoid the other. The other one was, just got pushed to the outside.
Yeah, and I think, seeing Johnson's racing style, which talking about a racecraft and clean, I feel like he's been clean all the way through this. And maybe he's going to be taking notes here. He saw kind of the pass on the inside on turn 1. Maybe he's going to change it up a little bit, and we might see something quite opposite of what we already saw.
I really do feel that Jordan and Brandon do have superior pace than our leader, Blake Reynolds, but talk about doing everything perfect. And that's our leader, the 066 of Blake Reynolds, because it's not easy to have all of this pressure, right behind you in your mirrors the entire race and still hit every single brake marker, hit every single apex, be able to put the power down nicely. So Blake Reynolds doing a fantastic job. And I guess really the only kind of comparison that I can give, Trevor, I don't know if you've got the anxiety of when you pay cash at the cash register and like the one person behind you is like literally looking over your shoulder, like, what is this guy doing? It's kind of the same situation.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's, I was just thinking about that. The intensity that first place has to feel right now. Jack, you had mentioned it. You're the rabbit getting chased by the wolf. And that wolf is right now is Johnson. And if you've watched Johnson, his eyes are literally staying locked. And here you go for the pass on the outside.
Yeah,
here we go. Jordan Johnson taking it around the outside of the bus stop. And then contact from Blake Reynolds to Johnson. And oh no, looks like a car goes off, but Jordan is going to keep it pointed the right way. Talk about some stunt driving from Jordan Johnson. But there was 100% contact between Blake Reynolds and Jordan, so I have a feeling that one might be reviewed post-race here. Jordan hangs on to the 4th place, but that does allow Max Muir to sneak on by. Trevor, we saw this live.
We sure did, and I'm hoping that's not the curse there, but outside pass here I think is absolutely the move. As long as you can get that car hugged back down to the center of this bus stop here. Everything looked good. little wheel hop off the inside, as Trevor McClure talked about. McQuattro giving us that, and there's that tap. And man, absolutely lost it. That is super tough watching that. As much as a talented racer as he is, this isn't gonna be the last time we see him running in the top.
No, I definitely don't think so. Let's get one more shot of it here. So this is on board Blake Reynolds, and yeah, Jack, I think there was just a little bit of front to rear contact while he was trying to kind of time that over-under, that overshoot.
Yeah, I think IMSA rules, I'd probably expect to get in trouble if I did that. I don't know. Do you agree, Joey?
I think so. You know, we'll talk about it afterwards. You know, we can armchair quarterback this all that we want, and I actually think we're going to be getting down to 2 laps remaining here, so we're going to be going by start-finish probably one more time, and then we'll get the white flag. But one thing that this is kind of freed up is Brandon Hawkins. So remember, he got pinched down to the inside trying to make a move into turn 1. Beautifully defended from our leader, Blake Reynolds, but now Hawkins doesn't have any pressure behind in the mirror, so he can just fully focus. And here's a sneaky move down to the inside here.
He's
well
looking.
covered from Blake Reynolds, but Trevor, you're right. He's on the charge.
You know,
Man, that little peak.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh.
No, just watching that peak, it gets your adrenaline going. Talking about that anxiety spike, I'm behind the mic over here, and just watching that car cut inside, take that look, gets that adrenaline going, and you know right now Reynolds is absolutely feeling it.
Well,
So
go ahead, Jack.
So what Reynolds is seeing in the front is little lights in his rearview mirror move side to side, which is totally throwing him off. It's making him want to be half aggressive, and it's giving Hawken the ability to poke in there, go back out, take a good line, wear out Reynolds if he can. It's really interesting to watch this. Really great racing here.
And here we go, because this is the final lap. I can't do math. Brandon Hawken looking to the outside through the bus stop, but beautifully defended from Blake Reynolds. So this is, in fact, the final lap of this main feature race. Blake Reynolds took advantage on the first lap, and he has had clean air the entire time. Has done a wonderful job to hold off Brandon Hawken. Numerous charges, probably the best into turn 1, but was able to defend that, and then was able to defend the move from Jordan Johnson back there through the inner loop, albeit maybe a little bit controversial, and I just don't see a good passing opportunity from here on out for Brandon Hawken to really go up there and catch Blake Reynolds unless there is a mistake out of this 0.66. So all he's got now is 2 turns remaining, really a quite simple flat-out left-hander. And then turn number 11 here at Watkins Glen. Blake Reynolds, after an extremely hard-fought race, watching the mirror the whole time, is your first main feature race winner here in the Roush Performance Esports Pro Series.
Barney with the flag. Attaboy, Barney. No, that was some exciting racing there. It looks like that last quarter of a lap, he just locked on that cruise control and brought it on in. What a awesome race to see. Unfortunately, Johnson with the little bus stop incident, but I can tell you that is not going to be the last time we've seen him. As we look here to see if there's any other battles on the track, anyone coming in for a hard place, I'd still be racing hard. I can tell you that. There you go.
I think that we need to measure downforce at start finish when Barney is waving that flag, because I'm pretty sure it goes up.
A little side draft from the flag. Thomas Fisher here. Look at rocking the VR. I always think this is super cool. I've experienced VR. It's totally immersive. Oh, little quick hands there.
We were watching
Solid.
Thomas Fisher earlier, and he does have some incredibly fast hands to be able to catch this prototype car in the middle of some of these slides. As he comes around the final turn and collects the checkered flag. I'm looking down, timing and scoring here. I think I see 24 cars of the 35 that started this main feature race are in fact taking the checkered flag. And what we're going to do really fast is just take a minute break, collect the official race results, and be back with your post-race interviews.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Well, you just watched the first round of the 2024 Roush Performance Esports Pro Series. And we did have two different winners between the sprint and the main, but ultimately it was Blake Reynolds taking home the checkered flag in the longer 35-minute feature race. Brandon Hawken will finish second, and Max Muir. I know that we didn't touch on Max other than the Hot Wheels and I believe Hawaiian Punch theme, but 32 positions is what Max drove up in this race. So incredible from that number 11 car. Jordan Johnson, he was your sprint race winner. After a little bit of controversy there in the bus stop, he'll finish fourth in the main. Pat Pelchat will finish in fifth. Alex Ellis in sixth. A great drive there from Alex, up 24 spots as well. Cam Bidwell, LT Gray finish inside the top 10. Christian Youngwall in eighth. Milan Harris in ninth. And Nate Doherty inside the top 10.
In 11th, John M. I'll take a cue from Trevor there. Matt Kingsbury in 12th. Eddie Layton in 13th. And 14th, Ray Kingsbury. 15th, James Thurston. 16th, Colin Arnold. 17th, Stephen Churik. And 18th, Lance Loomis. And 19th, Chris Walsh. And 20th, Will Chen. Trevor?
And taking up the 21st spot, we got Thomas Fisher. 22nd, Charles Hosea. 23rd, Rolando Falgares. Rolly. I can't do that one. Eliza Campos, 24th. 25th, Robbie Swan. 26th, Cody Crossgrove. 27th, Flynn Lazier. Sorry, Flynn. Lazier. Simple as that. Come on, guys. 28th, Jeff Evans. 29th, Cam Peterson. We know that big old Cam up there. 30th, Chris Rosales. Man, I'm making it too fancy. There you go, Joey. 31st.
We got Corey Vervinkt, Trent McMillian, and then really, unfortunately, all of the names that you see here on the screen did not finish today's race. And unfortunately, we are running up against a pretty hard cut here in about 5 minutes. So we're going to fit in some interviews real fast. We've got Blake Reynolds joining us here inside of the commentary booth. So let's bring Blake in here. Dude, congratulations on claiming the first win here in the Roush Pro Series.
Thank you. I cannot believe I did that. That is just... Oh, that was one of the most stressful sim races I've done in probably a year or two. It just... The level of iRating behind me was much greater than I anticipated. Didn't even know about the invert, honestly, until I hopped on the grid and I'm like, uh-oh. So I started third. I got the lead there right off turn one. Ray kind of stumbled a little bit. But yeah, I got the lead and I got going there, and Flynn was behind me there for a bit. But man, what a battle with Jordan and Brandon. That was so good. Good to get the Nitro Circus Sim Racing Acura in victory lane after our last attempt in IMSA Esports.
Well, Blake, I just want to say thank you so much for coming out here and racing with us. I can't wait to see what the rest of the Pro Series has involved for us. And before I let you go, is there anybody that you want to give a shout out to, mention to, while we've got you here in the broadcast booth?
Sure thing. Of course, Nitro Circus Sim Racing, my team. Penguin RC Simulation. Use code Blake, shop.penguinrc.com. Next Level Racing, Racecraft, Flynn Lazier and Ray Kingsbury for the help on this setup. Dude, there's no way we should be fighting at the level that we were here tonight. So shout out to them. They put in the time on this thing. I just ran laps. So shout out to them. Shout out to Roush for putting this on. Other broadcast partners, I don't have them in front of me here. So appreciate it, y'all. Thank you for the opportunity to race at such a high-level field.
Well, thank you to Blake Reynolds, and we will see him at round number 2, your main feature race winner here in round 1. And that's actually going to bring us to our next interview real quick. No stranger to Roush Performance Esports. Welcome back, Brandon Hawken, and welcome back to the podium. How was it through your eyes today for tonight's race?
Well, thank you. Yeah, glad to be back. Man, that was a wild couple of races there. First one had a pretty good qualifying run, and just didn't have enough there for Jordan. He was super quick, but I held my ground there, and then the second race, it was a whole bunch of carnage there at the very beginning. There was cars flying all over the place, and I was just able to get through that wreck in the bus stop on the first lap, and so that gave me a few positions to be able to try and get the top 2. And once I got there, the dirty air kind of started taking effect, and Blake did a really good job there defending, and Jordan was right behind me, and we had a heck of a battle there for the for the win. It was, you had to really try and take advantage of opportunities that were handed to you, but just couldn't quite get it. And then we had Jordan was tried overtaking Blake there on the outside of the bus stop. They collided, and that gave me second back, and really good result. It was really crazy, but I was happy to come home clean, and get to get P2 in both. That's pretty cool.
Well, Brandon, I'm sorry to cut the interview short here because we do have a time crunch. But before I do let you go, anybody you want to give a shout out to? And congratulations. Thank you so much. And like I said, congrats on that second.
Yeah, thank you guys for putting this thing on. It's a pleasure to be here, and it's going to be a fantastic season. So much thanks to Movano Sim Racing team. You're going to set up for Watkins Glen, and it was a flyer. So thank you to them, and just like to thank everybody involved. Had a fantastic race there with Blake and Jordan, and we'll cut it there. We'll see you guys next time. Thank you.
Well, that was Brandon Hawken. He has competed with us before in Roush Performance Esports. Always great to have him driving the number 99. And that's going to bring us to our final interview. Max Muir, our biggest mover of the night, up 32 positions after you didn't qualify here. So what was it like driving through 40-plus GTP cars?
It kind of sucked. I really wish I put my lap in. I hit the wall on the exit. Lost time, but it still didn't count. I would have had pole by like half a tenth or something. But I was not expecting to recover that far. There were like 3 pileups in front of me, different spots in the lap. So I think just staying alive helped a lot. And we made it through.
Well, I'm sorry to cut it a little bit short here for you, but I know, Max, you are going to be one of the names to watch throughout this entire Pro Series, especially with the drive you had here tonight. Is there anybody you want to give a shout out to?
Of course, the whole satellite team. I had Adam Crane coaching us and helping with setup prep. And then obviously my teammate Alex Ellis as well. He had an unfortunate final race.
Well, that was Max Muir, driver of the number 11, rounding out the podium here in the main feature race for the Roush Performance Pro Series. And what we're going to do is close out tonight's show. Just want to say thank you to all of Roush Performance for their support, as well as our amazing partners here, RFK Racing, VRS, and Podium Esports. And then you guys here on the screen. None of it would be possible without you. Jack, Trevor, and Ryan. I also want to include JP in here. I know that we didn't get JP in on the broadcast tonight, but he's always anxious to come and kind of help out with these esports events. And remember to follow along to the Roush Performance Esports and Discord page. Stay up to date with all of our future events and join us 1 week from today. That is Wednesday, February 28th at the same time, 8:30 p.m. Eastern, for the second round of the Pro Series. And I'll see you at the finish line in Sebring.